Okay, welcome back. So now we are continuing the video that we started last week. So if you haven't seen last week, I highly recommend that you go ahead and check it out before you jump into this video. Now, what can employers specifically do to keep their employees? Well, whenever we're considering Maslow's hierarchy of needs here, the first thing is physiological needs. So this is air, food, water, shelter, things that we need to just survive. And whenever I'm looking at this from a leader perspective, I consider money and physiological needs as well. Because until you reach probably that $65,000 to $70,000 a year point, money is going to be very, very critical in ensuring that you have all of those physiological needs met, that you have the food, you have the water, you can pay for the shelter. Many of our frontline employees in hospitality has been hit the hardest when considering the Great Resignation. Many of our frontline employees are living paycheck to paycheck. If they miss a paycheck, they may lose their house. So that is why I consider pay as part of the physiological needs, is because if they don't have it, the physiological needs are not going to be met. So as a leader or as an employer, you need to be intentional about looking at pay, looking at the pay scale. Are you competitive? What was competitive a year ago is no longer competitive today. So are you still competitive with pay? And if you can afford it, can you be hyper competitive, meaning that you're coming in at the high end of pay? This is going to be one of those critical pieces, especially if you're in hospitality, that is going to help your employees get in the door. Now, a quick word about this. When we're looking at pay and we're looking at bonuses, you need to remember to consider the employees that are with you, that have stuck with you through all of this. Make sure that you are treating them just as well, if not better, than the employees that are coming in. Because there's a lot of your old school employees that have been with companies for a while that are leaving because they no longer feel valued, because they see all of the attention and bonuses and everything that's being lavished onto the new employees. Nothing has been done for them. Right, wrong, or indifferent, this is something that you need to pay attention to. Make sure that your current employees feel welcome, loved, and appreciated just as much as new and external employees. The other piece to this is we need to look at safety. So when we have our physiological needs met, when we have our pay looked at, we make sure that we are competitive across the board, that we are hyper competitive if we have the ability, then we need to look at safety. And this isn't just your physical safety, that you're wearing masks, you're washing hands, you're sanitizing, you're doing all of those things. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we are in flu season. So sickness is a thing. It's not just a pandemic. Sickness is a thing. So make sure that we're paying attention to safety. And then the other piece of that is mental safety. Hospitality is getting burnt out at a huge rate. Women are getting burnt out at a much higher level than men. Whenever you look at industries, healthcare is getting burnt out. Education is getting burnt out. There is a lot of burnout happening. So it is not just your physical safety, it is your mental safety as well. Do you have resources available for your employees to assist them on their mental health journey? There are statistics that show 2 out of 3 people have started taking some type of anti-anxiety or antidepressant medication for the first time since the pandemic has started. Mental health is a huge, huge topic right now. And burnout is at the top list of that. So if you're not sure about burnout, do some research. Educate yourself. What can you do to assist? And we've talked about this in other videos. Be a role model. Take a mental health day. Tell your employees you're taking a mental health day so they know it's okay for them to do it. When we're talking about safety, it is not just physical safety. It's also mental safety. Which brings us to the third level, love and belonging. So when we're talking about love and belonging, we need to talk about making sure that your employees have a seat at the table. This is a good time. A combination of level 2 and level 3 is a great time to start reviewing your policies. Looking at your policies and determining what's outdated. What's not? Piece of love and belonging. I know after my daughter was born, love and belonging for me came in accepting the fact that I was a new mother and my demands had shifted and my focus had shifted. Didn't mean that I didn't love my job. Just meant that I didn't respond to my job in the way that I did before my daughter. Do you know which of your employees are having to take care of their parents as well as their kids? Do you know which of your employees is maybe having to help take care of family members that they weren't expecting, that maybe got laid off or haven't been able to find work since? Maybe they got really sick with COVID and haven't been able to go back to work. Do you have a pulse as to what's happening with your employees? That is a piece of love and belonging, is that you know what's happening with your employees and you're able to assist them. Your employees are wanting to stay. They're wanting to belong. Nobody likes intentional change. Okay, there's a few of us that do, but most people don't like intentional change. Give them a reason to stay. Make sure that as far as the responsibility of the employer, now I'm not telling you, you've probably heard me say it, we are looking to empower, not enable. There's a big difference. But as an employer, a large piece of your employees' work-life balance is going to come from what you give them. Have you looked at the policies that don't allow working from home if your company can support it? Now, if your company allowed work from home during the pandemic, then your company can support it. I'm just going to throw that out there. If you are no longer allowing work from home, you really need to rethink that stance. Your employees need flexibility. Be intentional. Look at pay. Make sure that your pay is equal across the board. Look at flexibility. Look at old policies. Do they still make sense or are they outdated? What options can you offer that your employees want? Don't get caught up in the ping pong tables and the snack bars and all of that, even though that is nice. But have you always been super formally dressed? And maybe you can look at having casual days. Can you allow flexible hours to where sometimes they work from home, sometimes they work in the office? What options can you and your organization uniquely offer your employees? These are just a few ways that you can begin being intentional about the employee experience. Remember, take care of your current employees first. Make sure that they know that they are valued. Have conversations. Find out what they are currently dealing with. And then create an experience where new employees want to come in to work for you as well. Now, this week was going to be the final week, but it's not going to be the final week. Next week, we are going to talk about hiring practices during the Great Resignation. How can you make sure that you're taking care of your new employees so that way they want to stay and work for you? You want to reduce the churn and burn. Thank you for joining me for this week's Weekly Wisdom. I hope you have an amazing, amazing week. And don't forget, as always, you got this. I'll see you next week.